Hey guys, today I'm going to talk about all my property entrepreneurs out there, the ones who want to use my 100% bridging finance, i.e. buy a house using none of your own money. This is the video that you really want to watch before that, because I'm going to talk about what are the problems that you guys are doing, and therefore how do you avoid them to make sure you get success. And using my finance, you will be able to make between 30 and 50K per deal. So this is a huge amount of information I'm going to put into this video. Make sure you're watching. Make sure you subscribe to my channel for more information like this. Okay guys, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Hither Mann. I am the world's first female trader educator, and I've been in property since 2004, before I went into financial trading, before I got into private equity, and now I invest into companies. I've also got a fund through which many of the founders I mentor, I will be allocating capital from that. So I live in Monaco, I used to live in the UK, and ultimately my life is dedicated to doing all the things that I wish to see in the world. Me growing up, I didn't have any mentors or people I could look up to who looked like me doing what I'm doing, and therefore ultimately I'm doing it for that reason. I want to make sure that people, male, female, whatever race, ethnicity, background, I came from no money, just so you know, and therefore I want everyone to feel like they've got a chance, and that's why I do what I do. My videos are not designed to be viral videos on YouTube or social or anything, because I don't care about viral. I care about real value. I want to make sure that the knowledge that you learn from this is something that's very, very solid, usable, and not the cliche stuff that everyone's putting out there just because they want to get a viral video. So I hope you guys appreciate that, and I hope you guys subscribe to my YouTube channel, because that's the only way I can see that this is really going somewhere, and I really appreciate that. So anyway, what are those problems with entrepreneurs? I've been coaching founders, entrepreneurs for a long time, since 2012. I've been in business since 2004. I came out of university as a medical professional, but then I pivoted to property, and I used to buy houses using other people's money. This is called, in this case, I was using 100% bridging finance. Somebody else was putting the money in. I would find a property below market value, and they would bridge it for me, and money would go to a solicitor, and I would have a same-day remortgage through a company called Mortgage Express. I did this so many times because it was quite easy then, back in 2004 onwards. Because of Mortgage Express, you could do an instant remortgage. Now, that was very low risk to the guy doing 100% bridging finance. Right now, I'm offering the same thing, so you can still buy a house using no money down. The reason why I'm offering this is because 20 years later, I am very honored that I can give back to people who have, this was life-changing for me, to make 30 to 50K a deal when I was someone who was usually came out of university pretty broke, and then I was working 7 days a week just to make £7,000 a month. It was good money, 7 to 9,000 a month as a medical professional, but I knew it wasn't going to be life-changing money, and I needed to buy back my time. So property, making 30K in one deal, and when I was working 7 days a week to make 7,000, that's life-changing, so you can do a few deals like that, and suddenly, and this time, because I was using a remortgage, it was debt in my bank. That 30K cashback was qualified as debt, and therefore zero tax on it. So it's a pretty big deal, and I want to try and help recreate that for people as much as I can. Now, the Mortgage Express product doesn't exist in the UK, but I don't care, because we can still do it through some other way by using a traditional mortgage as an exit, or you can flip the houses and still make even more money, right? So I'm offering this bridging finance to every country in the world that is a first world country. The reason I'm doing that is because first world countries have stronger legal systems, and if I ever need to get involved in a repossession, if someone I give my money to ends up disappearing and I have to protect myself, that's the reason why I use a first world country. I don't think I'd have a chance, and it would be too risky if I gave my money out into countries that didn't have a strong legal system. So anyway, that's why I stick to the first world. Right, so let me go through my 5 points as to why and what are people doing wrong. So I've been offering bridging finance for a while, and some of you are getting it. Like some of my mentees, my students are doing really well. They're using my bridging finance and getting some great deals. Others, not so well. And I get frustrated because I want to see everybody do well. And these are the points that I want to make now, so that if you're going to think about my bridging, this is what you watch and you will learn whether these points apply to you and how to avoid them. I'm going to give you the steps to avoid them. Okay, so step number one is property is a people business. Okay, so that means you have to enjoy talking to people. You have to negotiate pricing, you have to meet people, you have to go to properties, you have to go to houses, you have to make time after work. And it is a very time intensive thing, right? So property is not an easy industry to do well. If you're buying just off the internet and buying straight off the estate agent and making a phone call, you still have to do viewing, so it does require you physically going there, but that's not how this works. My number one thing in property is buy below market value. And I know there's a lot of property gurus out there that teach people to buy at market value and then refurb them and then refinance them. I hate that. That stuff doesn't work with me, and I don't want you to do that. The property 101 rule that I started with in 2004 was, if the property is worth this, always buy it below market value. Like always, always, always. I don't care how much. 25% is my ideal number, 25 ideally. I used to buy properties for 48% below market value, at least, sometimes even more, so it depends how good you are at negotiating. So my first point is, if you are in the category of, I don't want to meet people, I don't have time, I don't want to make time, I don't want to go to networking events, I don't want to meet landlords, I find that most people, I have to say the word, and I hate saying this, are lazy. Like that's the number one issue for people who are in the property, mentoring program that are not getting results, is because they're purely simply lazy. They're not going to networking events and not making the time around their job. I used to finish my work as an optician, get in the car, drive an hour and a half, and I'd get straight to a networking event. 3 times a week I was at networking events. And I would still go to the gym as well, like in the other days. So I'd have like 4 days where I'd always work out or whatever. But when I had a networking event, even if it wasn't 3 times a week, I'd go at least once a week to a place, to a networking event, and I would follow. And I would go to Manchester, London, Birmingham. Like I would go throughout those countries, like those were the three big cities I would keep going to. And I would get back home at 11:30, midnight sometimes, because it was really worth making the connections. I would find the right mortgage people. The people in the business are everything. You get your deal flow from the right landlords. Landlords might be trying to get rid of their properties quicker. Solicitors are there, mortgage brokers are there. There are so many people there that you could find and work with and get deals from. Now we've got the added bonus of people love calling themselves property sources, property. There are courses out there that are teaching you how to deal package, like sell a property deal for 5K or 2K. Look, those people are putting all the effort in to find properties below market value, supposedly. Then therefore you should be getting to meet them, but just make sure you understand your criteria and what you need to find in a property, and they could be very useful for you. So my point is, if you are not making the time, then this is how it gets easier for you, right? I know it's tough to make time. I was single, had no kids. I was barely in a relationship, so that was probably why. I know it's not a lifestyle choice, so to do this around a job is difficult. I'm not trying to discredit that by any means. And therefore, let's try and make it easy. Maybe set aside a couple of days a week where and you've already told your family or your partner or whatever, and you've catered for, I'm not going to be around that evening. I have to drive to Birmingham, Manchester, London. I'm going to a property networking event. And then you do it that way. Secondly, there are Facebook groups out there. You can find property, sourcing people. They will be 90% rubbish, but they're worth still trying to find, and build some connections there. Third, there are online property meetings. You'd be surprised how many coaching programs exist where they're sourcing. I mean, even my community, I'm offering bridging finance, right? And we have property entrepreneurs jump on a coaching call every month, and they come from different areas in the UK, US, whatever, and together they can do so much, and I just want you to collaborate as much as you can, but commit to doing it at least once a week. And in between the other days, what you need to do is really follow up on the leads, like follow up. And I have a lot of training that I offer in Fast Track Property where I teach you exactly how to find deals from estate agents, you can find below market value deals from estate agents, but there is a specific strategy, and I teach you that, how to find them from solicitors, how to find them from other people, how to find them yourself without the middleman. Like, that's the most powerful one. So I teach you all of that. And that's why I created Fast Track Property. So have a look at the link below and you will find it. Anyway, that's point one. So if you're lazy, forget it. Property is not going to work for you. Okay. And I've just given you solutions on how to do it. Once a week, use it every other day, like to kind of follow up on the phone. It's no excuse. We are in a digital world. We're very well connected, more so than when I was started in 2004. Okay. Point number two. I see a lot of people, when they get to a property deal, they find a deal, then they have to go in and have the conversation with the vendor, and then suddenly they freeze. The vendor kind of takes control, and the individual, the person who's buying and is going to be using my bridging finance, they struggle to get the price right because they're not very good at negotiating. Now, negotiation's a little bit like, if you're good at sales, you're good at negotiation. That's what I put it down to. And how does that work? Well, it's because you have to have strong self-image. You also need to, more than anything, understand the other human being and be good at building rapport. Because if you're good at sales, it's because you really understand what the person in front of you is trying to achieve and you help them achieve that. That's as simple as it gets. Sometimes you have to walk away from a deal and say, okay, you know what? I really want to help you, but I don't think this is the deal. And I give you all the tactics on how to do that. I even have a coaching program where I coach you every month on how to negotiate deals. I even have a VIP coaching where I negotiate for you. So I try my best to try and get you over that hurdle. But ultimately, it is strategic. Like, you have to be strategic in your power play. You know, some people come in wearing a cap into someone's house for the first time. How is someone going to take you seriously if you're just going to come in looking really rough and tough? Like, you have to look like you are believable, like you come across sophisticated, dress well, don't dress too much because they will get intimidated. You got to make someone feel comfortable to do business with you. I have had more people work with me and sell me their house back in 2004 onwards. They ended up giving me a better price, a lower price, compared to selling with an estate agent or somebody else, because they just trusted me and they liked me and they built that rapport and they knew that I genuinely cared. I even learned law to represent my clients when they were going through bankruptcy, repossession in court. I helped them out for free. I said, don't pay for solicitors if you can't afford it. I will represent you through something called the Mackenzie loophole, which exists in the UK. And I was representing my client and she allowed me. And I was sitting in court speaking to the judge on her behalf. Do you know how much that helped her? Like, huge. You really got to put the effort in property. So this is two things I'm covering here. You cannot be lazy, and you have to be good at really understanding people skills, like negotiation skills. So number two, I'd say this point is all about how good are you at negotiating. If you're not good at that, I can either help you. I mean, I can help you a lot, but you've got to implement, right? So I give you all of that strategy. That's something I do in my coaching. Okay, number three. Imagine you have got the price or you're about to submit. A lot of people, when they're submitting the deal to me, they kind of stumble on due diligence. Imagine someone tells you that their house is, I don't know, worth 200K, right? You do your research, you do your checks. Okay, you can verify the net worth of the property. However, then they tell you that they've got a mortgage of 100K. And do you just believe them? Yes, usually we like to be the nice person and believe everything someone tells you in front of them. But I'm telling you now that in this world of property, the seller is often going to hide information that will make them look unattractive to the buyer. So it's unfortunately I know we get solicitors involved eventually, but they cost, right? So I'm trying to help you guys not spend too much money before you get to solicitor phase, because you're going to have to pay that eventually anyway. Conveyancing fees are needed. But before you set out and pay your solicitor, get the obvious due diligence done first. That means find out what is their actual mortgage value. And how do you do that? You can ask them, say, look, I want to know, as part of my business deal, like this, we want to buy your house in cash, because that's me, I'm the cash buyer and I'm your business partner, right? You want to say that I want to help buy this house and get you out of, this situation you're in, but we just need to do a few bits of due diligence. And do you mind if we can really verify the mortgage value through the mortgage company themselves? And how you can do that is actually either get a mortgage settlement figure, or you can do better, which is what I used to do. I'd ask them to allow me to speak to their lenders on their behalf. So like, I'm giving me third-party authorization. So they would sign and say, I allow Hither Mann to speak on to the mortgage company on my behalf to inquire about the any mortgage liabilities. And I could find out the full mortgage level, the secured charges, if there were any others, and I would do the same for if they had a secured loan from a bank. I would ring up the bank to confirm what is the amount. Sometimes you've got to do all of these checks because sellers are in such a frantic state of mind if they're going through repossession, divorce, or whatever. They can't remember sometimes, or they genuinely don't want to tell you because they just want to get rid of this house without you knowing all of the bad stuff. So it's actually part of your due diligence and your duty to do this, right? I feel like it's your duty to fully check, because if I start instructing in solicitors, you're going to pay for them unless you're on my legal package where I pay for all legals. But ultimately, that's part of due diligence. Before you instruct your solicitors, you're going to spend thousands doing that. You might as well find out the obvious stuff before you spend thousands. And this is that relationship game. So my third point is poor due diligence. Really work hard on that. There is so much. I give all of my clients a due diligence form to fill in, and you can use it like a fact find. I literally give you guidance and step-by-step instructions on what to ask. Have they got secured loans, unsecured loans? You'll be surprised how even that affects things. What is the mortgage on the product? Which is a product? Who else is who? What are the names on the mortgage? Because it does matter who is involved, because you can't make decisions to sell a house if it's in a joint name, and that person says no. So you need to know these things, and that's due diligence. So that's get your due diligence done well. Don't cut corners. Do it properly, and really understand that. Which brings me to number 4. Why do you think so many property entrepreneurs are bad at making money in this way, or like they just don't get it sometimes? I feel because they don't understand risk. I'm the one who's putting all the money in, and they don't understand. I have a lot of clients that sometimes speak to my team and say, why do we need to know so much? Why do you need to submit so much due diligence? And I think it's because they don't understand risk. It's really naive. They think that I'm just going to believe them. They say, oh, yeah, I got the house below market value is worth this. You think I'm going to believe you? I need proof, I need proof on so many things. So the reason why you may not understand why I need so much due diligence is purely your naivety around risk, because you don't understand asset class risk. And when you do, you will understand, okay, we got to protect. If you can protect the downside, which is what I'm doing, I'm being the 100% charge on the property. I'm making sure that nobody else is involved, just me on the property. And that's how I protect myself. And I'm also making sure that it's below market value, so that if for any reason you don't exit the deal through a mortgage or a flip, I will take possession of the house and flip it myself, or keep it. And I've got an equity, so I don't mind. But that's how I protect my risk. So the reason why you don't get it is because you don't understand risk management. How did I get good at this? I'll be honest. My risk management became better when I started trading financial markets. I became a lot more sophisticated in my money game, and I wouldn't be able to have gone into capital raising, investment banking background if I didn't do financial trading. So I cannot tell you enough how powerful financial trading was to my financial literacy compared to just property. So please don't underestimate that. Property is okay. You're clever-ish, but nowhere near as clever as a good financial trader. And then when you go back to your property game, you manage risk way better. And when you go up to capital raising and raising money for a fund, and one day maybe a fund manager allocating money to companies, like, oh my God, you're going to be better at managing risk in a founder because you understand risk as a financial trader. So I just want you to be aware. I think all property entrepreneurs, every entrepreneur, should try financial trading and understand how to risk manage that. If you can do that, you're on to a winner. Everything will make sense. And number 5, I think I've covered 4 things now. That was risk management. Number 5, What do you think is the underlying big issue here? If someone's trying to get ahead but they're sabotaging, what do you think is getting, if we've got rid of the lazy, they're putting the effort in, then they've got the negotiation skills. Yeah, you got to be good at that. Pure due diligence, risk management. So those things are essential. But then there's one area that is like 100% needed in order to be good. And yes, some of you will have guessed it already. It's your money mindset. There are so many of you out there that actually don't enjoy being rich, or the concept of being rich is quite vulgar. You get scared of it. You think, oh my God, I don't want to be a millionaire. I just want to have a little bit more. And unfortunately, you'll get exactly what you ask for, but on a subconscious level. So some of you might consciously be saying, yeah, I want to be rich. I want to be a millionaire. I want to be like really wealthy. But your subconscious is saying something else completely different. It's sabotaging you, is getting in the way. You don't like people with money. You don't like money. You don't like yourself enough to have money. You kind of look at yourself on a subconscious level and think, oh my God, if I have too much money, I'll be isolated. I won't have my friends. People will judge me. And unfortunately, some of that's true, but not all of it. But ultimately, that needs changing. And that's where I have created the Fast Track Millionaire Mindset program, right? So there's a reason why I do everything at Fortune Academy, because I see how people are successful and why others are not. And the people who are not, they need fixing in this area, that area, that area. And that's why I put all of these programs in place. Fast Track Millionaire Mindset is the foundation of, if you want to be wealthy, you need to cover these 6 areas. I'll make sure you have a link below for that too. So I hope that made sense. I've given you 5 points. So just to recap, number 1 is, if you're not a people person and you're not making time, property is not easy to do unless you are making the time. You cannot be lazy, right? If you're a lazy person, do something else. Financial trading is easier for those kind of antisocial, people who don't want to leave their house. That's why even I liked trading, because there's a nice balance to life. You're not always out there doing stuff. You can also be private and just be on your own. So financial trading is good for that. Number 2, poor negotiation skills. If you're not good at negotiation, if you're not good at reading people, human behavior psychology, if your understanding of what the other person wants is not there, you're never going to close a deal. And if you have poor self-image, you're never going to close a deal, because you will come across quite weak. People will just not believe you. Number 3, poor due diligence. If your due diligence is not good enough, you're not going to get my 100% bridging finance. I need you to tick off all the boxes. I give you an exact sheet to go through, and I ask you, give me this, give me this, give me that. And people kind of ignore some of the bits and think, oh, I've given her 60%, she should just give me the money. And unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. There's a reason why I need all of this, which brings me to point number 4. It's all about risk management. If you don't understand why I need this, it's because you don't understand the risk to an investor, which is me. I'm investing 100%. I'm taking all the risk. Therefore, I need to manage the risk. And that's why the due diligence is there. If you don't understand risk, it's because you don't understand financial literacy to a high level. How to get to a sophisticated level is learn financial trading. So I'll give you an example. Financial trading course that we have, which is number 1, is here, Fast Track FOREX. That's a beginner's level, but it covers the most in there. I've given you the most advanced risk management tool. It's called the rolling risk management. Once you understand that kind of tool and how to manage risk in a financial trading element, you're never going to worry about you'll fully get it. You'll fully get, why does an investor need downside protection, and how can I talk to that and therefore make sure I get the money? Then you and me will have a much better conversation when you understand risk. And then number 5, your money mindset, your millionaire mindset. Do you like yourself as a wealthy person? Most of you, the real answer is no. And that's unfortunate. So I want to help you with that. And that's why I have Fast Track Millionaire Mindset. So I have lots of tools I can give you, and I want to help you out. Look, I will be doing free events for everybody. If you just want to come to a free event in the future, get on my waiting list and put your details in there. Tell me what areas you are interested in fixing and helping and growing. You can click more than one option. That is what you need to do. And I will make sure my team invites you. We do a lot of email announcements for events. You'll get email announcements, and also watch me on social media, because I post a lot about my events there. So I've been on this this video for nearly half an hour. I hope that was useful to you. I've covered as much as I can just to keep it brief as well, but those 5 points are super important. If you're looking to use my 100% bridging finance, I really want to help you. And everyone who gets Fast Track Property, you are able to get onto my bridging finance. Okay, so that's really cool. If you want to come to my next bridging event preview that I do free Zoom events, then make sure you're on the waiting list. So whatever works for you. If you want to get straight into it, go straight to Fast Track Property. If you want to wait for the next event, get on the waiting list. If you want to work on your mindset, that should be right now. Then you want to get onto Fast Track Millionaire Mindset. I've covered a lot here. Thanks, guys. In my future videos, I'll be covering more things, and I'll be covering other areas such as capital raising, how to succeed as an entrepreneur in that sort of field. I feel like that's a whole different beast, and therefore I want to put a separate video for that. So if you're interested in watching stuff like that, how to raise capital and do it better, and the problems I've seen in people I've coached over the years in that, then make sure you subscribe to my YouTube, because that's where it's going to happen. So thanks, guys. Speak soon. Have a good one, and success to you and your property game. Bye.